Hi, OJ. I don't know if I have much time left, so I'll tell you everything. No lies, just the raw, unfiltered truth. You see, the world knows me as a prophet, a man of God, a shepherd guiding lost souls. But today, I speak not as a prophet, but a man. A man who has lived in the shadows of duality, of secrets, and of compromise. A man who has walked a path I once swore I'd never would take. OJ, you need to hear everything. There is no more room for secrets. I stand before you not as a revered prophet the world believes in, but as a man bound by the dark legacy of my blood. My story is one of a double figure, of promises made in the light and a pact I sealed in shadows. I was born in a small village where my family was known not for wealth, but for an ancient sacred power. My grandfather was a revered fetish priest, a man who conversed with spirits of our ancient ancestors and commanded forces older than time itself. And as a child, I was groomed for a destiny I never chose. On his deathbed, he declared it was my birthright to inherit his mantle, to carry forward the work of the gods. I was terrified and unwilling, and I swore never to follow his footsteps. Instead, I fled to the church, seeking refuge in the light of Christianity. At first, I found solace in teachings of Christ. I preached salvation from the pulpit, offering divine guidance to those in need. Yet, even as I donned the robes of the prophet, the whispers of my past echoed in every hymn and every ritual that I performed. The memories of incense, the murmur of ancient incantations, and the weight of ancestral expectations hunted me relentlessly. I fought to keep that past of me hidden, believing I had escaped the clutches of those old malevolent forces. But as I embraced my role as a prophet, something within me began to change. The visions started small, a fleeting glimpse into the lives of my congregation, a sudden insight into their hidden sorrows. I convinced myself it was God's grace, a divine gift to guide his people. Yet, as the vision grew more vivid and disturbing, I realized that the power behind them was not solely his. It was the ancient forces of my blood and the very spirit of my ancestors calling me back to the darkness I had tried so much to abandon. Slowly, I began to call upon these gods openly, offering sacrifices that my followers could scarcely comprehend. I introduced the sacred fire, a flame I claimed could purify their souls. But the truth was far from sinister. The fire not only burned away sins, it consumed the very will of those who gazed into it. Their eyes glazed over in a trance, their autonomy stripped away by a power that was as terrifying as it was irresistible. Hmm. The rituals became darker with each passing night. Under the cover of darkness, I led my followers in secret ceremonies. We lit torches, chanted in unknown tongues, and danced under a haunted moon. Their movements grew fluid and unnatural, as if their bodies had become mere conduits for the ancients' rising spirits. Yet, with every ritual, every blood sacrifice, the cost became ever more apparent. The sacrifice, I realized, weren't just for the church's protection, they were a toll paid for my very soul. It's at this point that I ask that you subscribe to the channel, share a comment, or click on the like button. As that is the only way you encourage me to bring you more confessions and more stories. So please, subscribe. Let's go. One fateful night, as I performed the most harrowing ritual of all, the air itself turned against me. The wind howled with supernatural fury, and a storm of ancient power engulfed the room. In that charged moment, as blood spilled upon the altar, something within me shattered. I felt the gods demanding more than I could ever give. The line between the sacred and the profane dissolved, and I was left standing as a mere vessel, a puppet of forces far beyond my control. At that moment, the darkness came from me. Alone in my room, after the prayers and the token sacrifice, I felt the oppressive weight of unseen eyes. The temperature dropped, shadows lightened, and the very air grew thick and dread. Then the visions struck with a brutal force. I saw my grandfather, no longer the frail old man, but a wrathful spirit, his eyes burning with fury. The room trembled, and from the corners, figures of a shadow and smoke emerged. They whispered, accusing me of trying to escape my birthright, of thinking I could separate myself from the ancient power that had always been mine. I tried to fight OJ, but their grip was unyielding. I was not in control. I had never been. The voices, the cold, clammy touch of the shadows forced me to confront a painful truth. I was bound to the gods of my ancestors. The more I attempted to deny them, the tighter their hold became, until I could no longer tell if I was serving God or the dark spirits that had claimed me. OJ, for years, I lived with this double life. By day, a prophet offering salvation. By night, a man ensnared by spirits that drained my very essence. My congregation believed in me, unaware that every divine revelation came with a hidden price. Every time I performed a ritual, I stole years of their lives, a secret cost that those desperate for hope could never imagine. Now I stand before you, OJ, stripped of pretense and burdened by guilt. I have abandoned the pulpit, retreating into silence to free myself from the chains of the dark legacy. I share this not to frighten you, but to warn you. Beware the secrets behind every pulpit. Every charismatic preacher, not every shepherd, feeds the flock. Some are there to devour it. I have learned that rituals always come at a price, and the power I once thought was a gift has become my own curse. My confession is a plea for understanding, a desperate hope that you and those who hear my story will see the truth behind the facade of my guidance. Be discerning, OJ. Trust your inner spirits and never be blinded by the promise of those who hide their darkness behind a smile. And before you enter Abuja, click on this confession